I call Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'd like to just speak for a few moments on the Social Housing Flexible Purchasing and Remedial Matters Bill. I'd like to perhaps just start helping the member who's just spoken before. It's clearly she just didn't. Her hearing's not quite what it used to be, because what the Minister Paula Bennett was talking about was flexible reform. It was innovative reform. It is people at the centre reform, and it is not. And it is reform. It is reform that this party is delighted to be able to push through here and debate here this evening. It is not. They are incredibly angry. It is not this side of the House that is caught in an ideological rut, Mr Speaker. It is that side of the House. This side of the House has people and tenants at the focus of our social housing reforms, not what we hear on the other side. Mr Speaker, this bill is an important part of the government's social housing reform program, and as we've heard from Minister Paula Bennett, has the primary aim of introducing flexibility in the way Ministry of Social Development can negotiate and contract with social housing providers. And this flexibility is important and, from our side, Mr Speaker, should be encouraged. It's absolutely appropriate that we create a framework that this bill enables, that enables the Minister to have the power to direct the Ministry of Social Housing and the Ministry of Social Development to enter into these tailored funding agreements with social housing providers. Mr Speaker, as we know, currently the current setup and environment is constraining for MSD, and there's very little flexibility, and this enables the agencies to be able to get outcomes that will deliver more social housing places for New Zealanders. Examples of possible tailored agreements include paying more for tenants, Mr Speaker, that may be more expensive due to higher needs, such as older people, or entering into a long-term contract with a provider for them to offer a certain number of social housing places for several years. And both these options, Mr Speaker, are not currently possible under the current law. Mr Speaker, this is a move away from a one-size-fits-all to something that's more tailored and more sensible and will deliver better outcomes. Mr Speaker, we've heard over the last few minutes a reasonably impassioned view around how community housing providers are not going to respond appropriately, and to use the words of the opposition, that perhaps this is a pup. I will return later this evening to talk about the experience in Tauranga and the appetite that exists for participating in community housing providers, and I look forward to sharing that with the House later this evening. I commend this bill to the House.